7-game homestand begins tonight in downtown St. Louis and Busch Stadium. The Atlanta Braves at 8-10, the St. Louis Cardinals at 11-7. When you talk about the Braves in 2010, new face to their franchise. How about Jason Hayward, already with 4 home runs and 16 RBIs? And with my partner, Al Raboski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to Cardinals baseball. And you think about the Braves and the Cardinals, 2 great managers, 2 Hall of Famers in Bobby Cox and Tony La Russa, and 2 teams and 2 franchises that really have dominated over the last decade or so.
Oh, absolutely. They're 3 and 4 in all-time in the manager's win list. This is Bobby Cox last season, 29th, 25th with the Atlanta Braves. He'll be moved upstairs, and he'll do a wonderful job for the Bravos.
And when we come back, we'll talk about 5 players to watch out for in 55 seconds. Yeah, that quick. 55 seconds. You know Albert's going to be on that list. Back with more in just a moment. We take a look at 5 players in 55 seconds that could have an impact tonight. I'll turn it over to my partner, Al Raboski.
Well, Albert Pujols, his struggles are over. 3 hits yesterday, including the game-winning, the home run in the first inning. He really did struggle against Atlanta last year, but one of his 2 home runs was against Hudson, tonight's starter. Jason Hayward, the rookie sensation. He hit a home run in his first Major League at-bat. He's only 20 years of age. 16 RBIs his first 13 games, but he's struggled since then. Talking about struggles, maybe they're over. Kobe Rasmus, a 6-game hitting streak, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, a couple stolen bases, and his only hits last year against the Braves were against tonight's starter Hudson. Speaking of Hudson, he's 1-1 on the year with an ERA under 3. However, he has had struggles against the Cardinals with an ERA over 5. Oh, by the way, his one loss this year came against the Phillies and Doc Holliday. Brian McCann, probably the best hitting catcher in the National League. He's been very patient at the plate with 16 walks and only 4 strikeouts. And his last game against St. Louis, 3 for 5 and a couple RBIs.
So it's the Braves and Cardinals, 5 players to watch out for tonight. We'll revisit the road trip with Jim Hayes when we come back. 5 straight. The Cardinals recently wrapped up a road trip. They played 500. Jim Hayes has more on that.
The Cardinals' 6-game West Coast road trip started off well. Matt Holliday went 3 for 5 with his 4th home run of the season, and Brad Penny made his 3rd strong outing as the Cardinals won 4-2 in Arizona. Penny threw 6 scoreless after allowing 2 runs in the first, and with a game tied at 2 in the 8th, Molina drove in the go-ahead run with a hard-hit grounder to first. Ryan Franklin tossed a perfect 9th for his 5th save in 5 opportunities. Former Cardinal Dan Herron was unusually shaky on the mound, but made up for it at the plate. Despite allowing 7 runs in 6 innings, including 2 home runs by Ryan Ludwig and a solo home run by Albert Pujols, Herron's 4 for 4 night at the plate helped the Diamondbacks to a 9-7 win. Kyle Loesch also allowed 7 earned runs, but reliever Mitchell Boggs took the loss after allowing a 3-run home run to Mark Reynolds in the 4th. The Cardinals won 9-4 last Wednesday and won their 5th straight series to open a season for the first time in franchise history. Chris Carpenter allowed 3 runs in 7 innings, striking out 10 Diamondbacks, and made sure he let Arizona know he didn't appreciate being hit by a pitch in the second. Rasmus had 2 home runs, including the tie-breaking shot in a 5-run 9th inning, which was capped by Skip Schumacher's 3-run shot off Arizona closer Chad Qualls. In the series opener in San Francisco, Tim Lincecum reminded the Cardinals why he beat Carpenter and Wainwright for the 2009 Cy Young. Yadier Molina's RBI single in the 6th was the only run the Freak allowed as he struck out 8 Cardinals en route to his 4th win of the season. Jaime Garcia didn't get any help from his defense as 2 of his 4 runs allowed were due to errors. Giants closer Brian Wilson struck out the side in the 9th for the 4-1 win. Former Cy Young winner Barry Zito got his first career victory against the Cardinals, outpitching Adam Wainwright in the 2-0 win. Zito pitched 8 scoreless innings and struck out 10. Wainwright also pitched 8 innings but took the loss after allowing 2 runs in the 8th. Albert Pujols' slump continued as he went 0 for 4 and was struck out looking on a called 3rd strike to end the 6th. Albert's 7th home run of the season in the first inning was all the offense St. Louis would need thanks to yet another strong outing by Brad Penny. The former Giant didn't allow a runner past second base, lowered his ERA to 0.94, and beat former teammate Matt Cain with 7 2/3 innings of shutout baseball. Ryan Franklin finished the shutout, helping St. Louis to a 3-3 record on the road trip.
Okay, Jim, good job. The Cardinals, of course, won yesterday, looking to make it 2 wins in a row. The Braves are in town. Braves and Birds coming up just around the corner. Toronto, and he actually has had the upper hand against his counterpart tonight, Tony La Russa. Tony in Oakland and Bobby Cox in Oakland, or rather in Toronto, and now Bobby Cox, of course, a number of years in Atlanta, and a number of years for Tony La Russa in St. Louis. And here's Yunel Escobar, the shortstop, to lead it off for the Atlanta Braves. And the Atlanta Braves, Al, have fallen on hard times here recently.
Well, they really have, and when you start thinking about their leadoff spot, Escobar is their 5th one already in the young season. The team is not hitting, so hopefully Loesch will be able to pick up his first win of 2010. Bones have batted 300. Lefties have batted almost 350 against him. But like I said, they're struggling as a team.
Loesch's numbers presented by Marshall Wireless Sprint. That's hit out to deep right field at the wall, and it's caught. Ryan Ludwig for the catch against the wall in right field. This Braves lineup has not been hitting well. 228 last in the National League as a team. Escobar, Prado, and Jones. Then McCann, Gloss, the former Cardinal, Hayward, the Phenom, Cabrera, McLeod, and Hudson. Let's go back to the catch by Ryan Ludwig.
It just looked like that ball just kept on carrying on him and about a step from the wall. So enough time to brace himself. But I think that ball kind of surprised a lot of people that it carried that far.
And here is Martin Prado now with one out, nobody on.
Now he's the one guy that has been hitting throughout their lineup.
They've only hit 12 home runs this year. That's tied with Washington for last in the National League. And you always look at on-base percentage now. In the middle of the pack at .332. The same cannot be said for the Cardinals. We'll talk more about that when they come up offensively. No balls and 2 strikes. Prado's hitting .406.
Good pitch, doesn't get the call. Prado leads the major leagues with his 28 hits and already has 9 multi-hit games.
It's that out of play. And let's take a look at the Cardinals defense while we have a chance. Holiday, Rasmus, and Ludwig in the outfield. On the infield, David Freese, Brendan Ryan, Skip Schumacher, Albert Pujols, Cal Loesch, and Yadier Molina are Dobbs Tire Cardinals defense. Off-speed pitch, hit out of play. The Cardinals have made a move. Tyler Green has been brought up along with John Jay. Felipe Lopez has been disabled. And Alan Craig for Tony La Russa's club has been sent back to Memphis.
Not uncommon for guys to go up and down the first couple years. And I'm sure we'll see more of Alan Craig, but he just needs playing time. And John Jay, who had his 16-game hitting streak stopped at Memphis last night with an 0-for-4, will get his major league debut when he hits the field.
He can run a little bit. He's off to a very good start with Memphis at AAA. The 2-2 pitch. And the other element that he gives you, Al, he hits from the left side, which the Cardinals were predominantly right-handed, depending if Felipe Lopez was on the bench that particular day.
And right, and tomorrow Jason LaRue is eligible for activation from the DL, so you think Brian Anderson, the other hitter from the left side, will be going back to Memphis.
Here's a 2-2 from Loesch. Good at bat here by Martin Prado.
Sure is. There's Prado. Now, they talk about these Braves have been accepting a lot of walks, particularly Brian McCann, but you're hitting 400, you're getting some pitches to hit, and then you got to put it in play. Bobby Cox, which will be a lot different next year when he's no longer the field general.
So you're sold. He's not coming back with Chipper Jones possibly coming back in, Hayward, and a pretty good nucleus of players.
Yeah, I talked to him briefly and told him I'd spend a little more time with him tomorrow, but I understand he's very happy with the decision to sign a 5-year contract to move upstairs and really oversee all aspects of baseball operations for the Braves.
Here's a 2-2 pitch with 1 out, nobody on. So then the question in Atlanta becomes, who's next? Who follows the legend of Bobby Cox?
Well, something it may be Bobby's hitting coach. Would be a very popular choice around here, Terry Pendleton.
Certainly paid his dues.
Sure.
Here's a look at Terry Pendleton, the outstanding third baseman for a number of years here in St. Louis. 2-2 pitch to Prado. Just put together a very good at bat here. Think about grinding at bats and making a pitcher work. This is the perfect example of that here from Martin Prado.
And that really is a responsibility. In the first inning, first couple hitters get that pitch count up.
And Loesch will win this battle. It's popped up. Pujols near the line. Makes the catch. Cardinals baseball tonight brought to you by Budweiser with full flavor and a crisp, clean finish. It's what we do. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. By Steak and Shake, life needs flavor. And by Chevy's expert auto service. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. In steps the switch hitter, Chipper Jones.
I know Chipper kind of questioned whether this would be Bobby's last year, and as his great season and career dwindling down. He's bothered right now by a oblique and a hip. Taken out of the game on Sunday because of the hip. Missed some games earlier with the oblique, but they say it doesn't bother him swinging the bat from the left side.
He did play last night against the Mets and grounds it to short. Brendan Ryan up with it. Cardinals coming up in their half of the first. Good start for Kyle Loesch. Busch Stadium is seen tonight. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. St. Louis, and the Cardinals will face Tim Hudson. Here's a look at the lineup. Skip Schumacher, Ryan Ludwig, and Albert Pujols. Then Matt Holliday, Colby Rasmus, Yadier Molina, David Freese, Brendan Ryan, and Kyle Loesch. Southwest Airlines starting lineup. Tim Hudson. He's been around for a while now in the National League, and his record is 1-1 in his 3 starts.
He's coming off the Tommy John surgery. He did pitch a little bit last season, but this is 131st start with Atlanta, and overall was his 314th career. ERA is under 3, so he's pitched well.
And the first pitch to Schumacher is taken low for a ball, as both these pitchers work from the same side of the rubber. Different sizes, though, and you wonder about where they plant that lead foot. Skip hits it on the ground to short. Escobar up with it, 1 away. Behind Tim Hudson, the former A tonight. Melky Cabrera, the former Yankee. Then Nate McLeod, the former Pirate. Jason Hayward, Chipper Jones, Escobar, Prado, and Gloss on the infield. Tim Hudson and Brian McCann, the battery tonight. Braves defense presented by Dobbs. Troy Gloss moving from 3rd to 1st for Atlanta.
And one of the other struggling a little bit with the bat, like so many of his teammates.
1 out, and here's Ryan Ludwig. First pitch popped up. Jason Hayward, the 20-year-old, puts it away. 2 outs. Not only can he swing the bat, but they say, Al, that Jason Hayward is very good defensively, too.
Oh, they say he's a tremendous young man. He's a baseball player only. You see his size, but he never played football. You know, his parents just had him play baseball, where they're saying the last phenom they kind of had to his system was Jeff Francoeur, who was a football player trying to play baseball, where Hayward, they say, is strictly a baseball player.
Here's Albert Pujols with 2 outs and nobody on against Tim Hudson. Last 2 years, Albert Pujols against the Braves in 2008. 3 home runs. He drove in 15. Last year, no home runs. He struck out 7 times and only 1 RBI. Our Toyota keys to the game. The Cardinals really ran into some great pitching over the weekend, and thanks to Pujols' home run against Matt Cain yesterday, they were able to salvage a game out west in AT&T Park.
Well, right now, you don't mind them running up against good pitching because
Pujols hits it out to deep left center field. Cabrera is back. He'll look up, and this ball is off the base of the wall. Pujols on his way to second base, and he is out. Trying to stretch it into a double. So Pujols gunned down from the outfield at second base, and the tag was there by Prado. Hayward coming up. The great Tony West of our crew getting that shot there just moments ago as Tony La Russa brought out the lineup card just before our first pitch of baseball tonight. We understand that Bobby Cox will be honored before Wednesday night's game between these two teams. It's a 4-game series, and Brian McCann will lead it off for the Braves here in the top of the second. McCann, Loss, and Hayward. And the first pitch from Kyle is a strike. Speaking with Kyle Loesch after his last start, which was in Arizona, he felt he got sick in that start. Never felt comfortable on the mound. And it showed as he did not last long, and that's a rarity these days with the Cardinals in their starting 5, Al. Their pitching staff has been dominant.
They've been the best starting staff in baseball. ERA-wise, Cardinals have 3 starters in the top 10. Pitching staff totally is number 1.
How about Brad Penny and what the Cardinals have found with him? And you say found, he's been very good before, been to an all-star game a couple of times, but he's doing it this year a different way.
Well, he's not maxing out on every pitch, trying to have better command, trying to get rid of, hitters in fewer pitches, have that pitch count down. It's very evident with Cain at 97 through 5, and that's what, or 98, something like that. And I think, Penny had 99 for the game.
Strikeout of McCann. Taking a look at the last 4 starts. Carpenter, 7 innings. That's now back-to-back starts in which he's had 10 strikeouts. Garcia grinded through his start on Friday night. Wainwright and then Brad Penny. So Dave Duncan very pleased with his starting staff, and there's a strike to Troy Gloss.
Well, it should be, as the starting staff, keeping the ball in the ballpark. That's always key. But they're currently ranked first in the major leagues with a team ERA of 2.72. And the starters are first in the major leagues at 2.61.
Big difference for Troy Gloss to move over from third to first and seeing those baseballs come the other way. And the Braves signed him to a 1-year deal, feeling that he was healthy enough at the end of last season. Proved that. They've already got Chipper Jones at third, so they moved Troy Gloss over to first. And he's off to a slow start. Couple of home runs, 8 RBIs, and hitting under 200. 1-2 pitch. That's a fair ball past David Freese. Over to get it, Holiday. And Gloss is held to a single.
And maybe struggling under 200, but that was a rocket. David has virtually no time to react, and reacts well, but that ball's by him. As he got that breaking ball, just hooked it right down the line, goes off the sideboard, but nice job by Holiday to keep him to a single.
A lot of fans excited to see this young man, Jason Hayward. He's a big kid, 6'5". He actually grew over an inch in the winter. He's 20 years old, and as Al told you, his father groomed him to be a Major League Baseball player. He is from the Atlanta area.
South of Atlanta, and I think his parents both went to Dartmouth.
That's correct.
Hit a home run in his first Major League at bat. Had 13 RBIs in his first 16 games. 4 home runs and 16 RBIs lead the team, but he's been struggling a little bit of late, and that's going to happen.
His numbers when they win are huge, and when they lose, he's on the totally opposite end, and it shows you, even though he's 20 years old, how much they rely on Jason Hayward here in his first year.
Well, right now, he's counted on heavily.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. And Loesch is wondering where that pitch is.
Yeah, pretty good pitch right there that possibly down and in.
Take a look at our Southwest Airlines Fox tracks just off the plate.
Pitcher wants that one badly.
Here's a 3-1. And it could be 2. Out at second. Oh, wide throw. They're going to say he was out. And Hayward will be safe at first base, and Troy Gloss is a little bit surprised at that call, and I'm a little bit surprised we haven't seen Bobby Cox, no stranger to arguing with an umpire.
Well, I think Bobby's final season has been already ejected once. I think at least once. He's the all-time ejection leader. Bad throw by Schumacher as he ball sails on. Oh, man, he wasn't even close. Can't say that's in the vicinity at all. He's off the bag, and Cardinals catch a break with Sonia, the second base umpire out there, reading and saying that the force play was made.
There's Cabrera. I don't know about you, Al, even though that ball was hit hard, and if there was a good throw there by Schumacher chest high, with the way that Hayward runs, that would have been very close at first base. He may have been safe anyway. He could really run.
Might have been safe, but I mean, that's one of those plays that you'd rather see the good execution and then take your chance.
No doubt.
I still think that he would have been out, and we'll never know.
We'll just never know. Maybe we can get him again.
You know what, Dan? This is not the only thing that we don't know.
1 ball, 1 strike, and Cabrera pulls it foul, 1-2. He was part of the Javier Vasquez deal that sent Vasquez to New York, and that's his second time with the Yankees for Javier Vasquez after a tremendous season with Atlanta a year ago, and Vasquez is not pitching all that well.
Oh, he's off to a slow start, and I think that it's safe to say the Braves are very disappointed in Cabrera's early start.
1-2. Some guys just can't adjust to New York. It's very tough for some.
It's so true. I mean, it's what, and a lot of times it happens with what kind of start you get off to.
Isn't that the truth, though?
You get off to a good start, they love you. If you struggle, then you never can catch up. And no matter, it's kind of like Tino Martinez when he was here. Tino got up.
McGuire.
Yeah, I mean, the expectations are so much higher, because you're following a superstar, and you get there and you kind of get behind, and everybody gets down on you, and they don't see the good things.
1-2 the count, and a ground ball that is foul. I was watching Sunday Night Baseball last night with the Braves, and their game was cut short because of rain, and they took a loss to the Mets. They have actually lost 5 straight. And in that game with New York, Jason Bay is a good example of that. I mean, he's off to a very slow start with the Mets as far as the power numbers are concerned after signing a very big contract. And most people said, well, here he was traded for Manny Ramirez and he goes to Boston. He should be used to the pressure, but a little different story when you go to New York. 2-2. Melky Cabrera is hitting .153 with no home runs and 2 RBIs. And let's see if he wants to start the runner. Jason Hayward at first. Hard hit. Off the glove of Schumacher. And into right field. Hayward on his way to third base. Base hit for Cabrera. And it brings in Nate McLeod.
That ball was up, and first of all, line drive. Schumacher tries to time his jump and gets right to the apex, but just not enough as it goes right off the fingertips, the webbing of his glove, and can't hold on to it.
It's a cool, chilly night here in St. Louis. Rained earlier today. Hopefully the rain stays away tonight. Here's the former Pirate, Nate McLeod, who's hitting .146. Has a game-winning home run, his lone home run this year, and a couple of RBIs.
There's another guy there just disappointed in.
It is early, though. Plenty of time to change that around. Back to Loesch. With 2 runners on, the Braves will strand those 2. It'll be Holiday, Rasmus, and Molina coming up. No score midway through 2. Join team members at Scott Trade Center for pre-race festivities on Saturday, June 12th. For info and to join the Blues and Fox Sports Midwest, go to foxsportsmidwest.com and sign up now. Through 2 innings, Kyle Loesch has thrown 41 pitches. First inning for Hudson, it was only 6.
He's been an outstanding pitcher over his career. He's had some injuries, but when healthy, he can be a handful, and it appears he's healthy again after the Tommy John surgery.
0-1 pitch. Holiday, a broken bat, base hit out to left. So 2 hits for the Cardinals from Pujols and Holiday, and it brings in Colby Rasmus.
Good to see him, Matt, get another hit. Remember, he's batting 350 plus on the road, and didn't get his first hit until last Sunday, the last game. So now he's got 4 hits at home. He'll trade that bat for that base hit. You saw the rain, which I understand it's not supposed to be that much of a problem until later tonight, but it is intensifying a bit.
Here is Colby, who's hitting .294 on the year. Good start for Colby Rasmus when you look at the 5 home runs, Al, and 10 RBIs.
Well, that's it. I mean, Colby's going to have his ups and downs, and he's now on a little bit of a hot streak. Showed that in 7 of those 10 RBIs, and 3 of those home runs came in the last 6 games.
You just get the feeling that the pressure is off him here in his second year, and not looking over his shoulder. There's no Rick Ankiel, and for the most part, not a rotation out there in the outfield. He's going to play every day.
Well, and I think there's just a lot of things going on in his personal life that he's a little more settled now, and get that rookie season under your belt. You know what to expect. Your teammates know what to expect of you, and you're just a little more comfortable with the major league atmosphere. He's still a very young player.
Your concern with him, though, would be hitting against left-handed major league pitching.
Yes, and you know, and it's funny because throughout his minor league career, he's always hit left-handers. It's just the problem is that if those guys were any good, they'd be in the big leagues.
Right.
So
that's the byproduct of being in the minor leagues, is that they're not in the major leagues.
Very true. I'm glad you're perceptive enough to get that.
I'm following what you're saying. You're not facing those left-handers. They're major league quality. Colby, base hit into right. Holiday will stop at second base. And it brings in Yadier Molina.
Colby still has some holes that you can exploit. But if you get the ball more in the inner half, and particularly down, he's going to pull the ball. I think eventually, you know, working with Mark McGwire, I think he's going to start hitting the ball a little bit more to the opposite field, up the middle, and that's going to help him get more pitches on the inside part of the plate.
I think the thing you're really concerned about right now with the Cardinals offense, and a lot of focus has been on the home run. If the Cardinals hit a home run, it seems like they win. But you look at on-base percentage, which is really looked at closely now, and the Cardinals as a team at .322, and not many walks. It's got to be better.
No, that's you're absolutely right about that, because they don't manufacture a lot of runs. You know, Tony will hit and run with certain guys. Molina is a good one to do so, and a guy like Hudson is pretty good because he throws so many, you know, usually is around the plate, and that's part of the equation.
Runners at first and second, nobody out. Here in the bottom of the second at Busch Stadium. The Cardinals and the Braves in game 1 of their 4-game series. 0-1 to Molina. Stopped by McCann, 1 ball, 1 strike. Brian McCann, good defender, good offensive catcher too.
Yeah,
good player.
In my mind, he's a much better offensive player, but you know, he's been an all-star the last 4 years. Can't say that about too many catchers, can you?
See the raindrops falling with that camera angle. That's our super slow-mo cam. That's the only one that you'll see that with. Runners go as Molina threw the bat at it, and out at third is Holiday. Trying to generate something. Normally Molina will at least put it in play. And that's the first out in the inning.
Those 2 people caught on the bases. And the problem here is the pitch was just out of the strike zone. We talked about it, might have picked that splitter, and Holiday is dead out. The ball beats him so badly they don't really watch and see if it gets tagged or not. Cardinals thought that should go in their favor in San Francisco, too.
1 ball and 2 strikes with 1 out and a runner at second base. Big gap in the left center field for the Cardinal catcher, Yadier Molina. And he hits it out to left. Cabrera under it to make the catch. And back to second goes Colby Rasmus. And it's up to David Freese, an inning that began with so much promise with runners at first and second, nobody out. Now runner at second and 2 outs.
When we talk about David Freese, you know, a nice job there. You really got to hope he doesn't look at that home run. 0 there and not worry about it. Look at the 300 average. He's just going to, you just want him to contribute. Don't want him to try and do too much. When you're talking about the rookie on the other side, Hayward, he really has to contribute a lot more than what you'd like a rookie to, to be asked of.
In this lineup, you can drop Freese down, not a pressure spot like being in that 3, 4, 5.
Right, and it's by design, and to take a little pressure off these guys for a year or 2.
2 outs, runner at second. Here comes a 1-0. Big Cardinal fan Richard Daly is in attendance tonight and watching Cardinals baseball. Pretty shallow out and left, and a gap in left center again for David Freese. Here comes a 2-0. Guys that like that home cooking, and David Freese is one of those. 500 at home, 206 on the road. Chipper 367, 111 on the road. Then Benji Molina and Ryan Ludwig. Ludwig 440 here at Busch Stadium this year. Just 209 on the road.
Like what they do at home, we hope they evens out a little bit on the road.
2-1 pitch. 2-2. Cardinals ran into great pitching this weekend with Tim Lincecum. And despite a couple of errors, the Cardinals could have made that more of a game on Friday night than Barry Zito on Saturday, Matt Cain yesterday.
Yeah, Jaime Garcia, the numbers didn't reflect how well he pitched.
Here's a 2-2 pitch. Freese shoots it foul and out of play.
See Hudson and his ability to get inside on right-handed batters is a real key. Even the Holiday base hit, it was a broken bat where he jammed him. He's gotten in on Molina a little bit, there on Freese, and then he can throw those breaking pitches away or the splitter.
And he's working from the first base side of the rubber and trying to get inside on the righties. 2-2.
One of the real keys to pitching is, can you get to the outs, to the opposite of your arm? If you're a right-hander, you should be able to get inside, but can you be successful away? And to compensate for that, you see him on the first base side to help him, dominate on the outer part of the plate.
3-2 pitch to David Freese. They shade him a little bit to the opposite field. And David Freese and Mark McGwire will tell you that's where he's best at, hitting it to the opposite way, especially right center. Very good numbers with runners in scoring position this year. He's 5 for 10. Three-two pitch. Freese, a swing and a miss, and the first strikeout for Tim Hudson tonight. We played 2, and there's no score at Busch. Cardinals Live pregame show will bring you the cat fight with Jim Hayes. Jim hosts a trivia contest with great prizes, and you can join the fun by stopping by the Helitech desk at Busch Stadium, and you can be a contestant. The cat fight before every Tuesday home game, and that's on Toyota Cardinals Live.
And is that the cat and his wife, or what's going on?
Well, the cat is here, so we can ask him. As Tim Hudson
I'm betting on your wife.
digs in.
Yeah, I'm not going to mess with my wife, Al. You know her.
So what is the cat fight?
We did it during the Blues season. It's kind of a trivia question. Nice prizes up for grabs. And,
so you throw out a trivia question.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's more of a trivia contest than a fight. You know.
Dunking booth, you get doused?
I do not get doused. It's just a trivia contest.
Darn, I was going to show up.
And we try to have a celebrity spokesmodel that models the gear for us. I'm told that it's going to be John Mabry tomorrow.
Here's a little chopper up the middle. Off the bag, and no play for Skip Schumacher, and a base hit for Tim Hudson. So we'll have the cat fight before our broadcast tomorrow night.
I look forward to it. Different crowd than you get at the Blues.
And it brings in Yunel Escobar.
Blues a little better fighters than the Cardinal fans.
Again, Al, it's just a trivia. Hopefully you'll be a spokesmodel sometime.
No, thank you.
It's Al Raboski, Jim Hayes, Dan McLaughlin with you, and there's no score here in the third. Top of the lineup in Yunel Escobar. And Escobar fly to right his first time up, runner at first, and nobody out. And Cal Loesch, Jim no doubt is trying to bounce back after a rough start last time out in Arizona.
He just says he just can't get a feel for it. Doesn't have his command. He's frustrated after what was basically a lost season last year.
He's already closing in on 50 pitches and nobody out here in the third. This is pitch number 46. That's upstairs.
Well, the one thing, he's just not getting the ball down is one thing, like he did 2 years ago. Another is it's usually elevated. It's in the middle of the plate, something he did not do in that breakout season. Everything was on the corners.
Are there any telltale signs in his delivery that you see that
not really
messed up his mechanics?
In my mind, it's a little bit more between the ears. He keeps on talking about not feeling comfortable. Well, you just wake up someday and say, hey, it's all going to come together.
It's fouled back 2-2.
Got the best pitching coach in the world. He's got supportive casts. All those guys will work with him and help him out. But at some point when you get out there on the mound, it's all up to you.
And remember what he did last April and the April prior to that. He was unbeaten.
3-0
those injuries.
both years.
Yeah.
Great starts.
2-2. Good pitch on the inside corner, but doesn't get the call.
Now, pitches like that, when you don't get the call, they do really, they do mess with your mind, but, it's a full count, so you still got a chance for redemption. It's like fastball away.
And a ground ball that is hit to third and foul.
And you would suppose, adding to the frustration for Kyle, is the rest of the rotation pitching so well, he certainly wants to do his part.
Yeah, you feel like you're letting everybody down, but
isn't it a case, though, Al, where it's competition?
Yeah, and
it's a good thing.
It's a very good thing, and it's fun competition. And the other guys are the first ones trying to promote him to be equal to them.
Here's a 3-2 pitch to Escobar. The fly ball into right center field. Colby Rasmus in his second year will make the catch. And there's one away.
And with the starting rotation, it's really a group think. When one of the starters throws a bullpen, they're all out there, and they all kind of give their feedback if they see something that's not quite right. It's not just Dave Duncan.
Exactly. And, Marty Mason, Dave Duncan are out there, but it's as much his teammates. And when we move that, the other starters are out there, teaching or instructing, saying what they see. But sometimes it's almost too much.
Arguably, the best at bat tonight has been from Martin Prado. Even though he popped out to first, it was better than a 10-pitch at bat. Really grinded through it. And people look at the Yankees and their success. One of the things that they can do up and down their lineup is make a pitcher work and then get into a bullpen. Well, Prado did that in his first at bat. Here's the 0-1. That's taken for a ball low and away. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You get a little carried away with that, but you know, if you can do it along with, you know, when you see a pitch that you can drive, you swing at that. Don't wait to 2 strikes all the time. But the idea of getting into a bullpen sooner is a winning formula.
It's interesting that you say that, as that's taken for a ball low. They say Jason Hayward has a terrific batting eye, and when he does swing the bat, it's vicious. But sometimes they'd like to see him not expand the zone, but bring it in just a little bit tighter, because he'll fall behind an account.
And so such a vicious swing, you can't stop.
Right. Here's a 2-1 that's popped up again into shallow right. Schumacher going out. This one is going to drop for a base hit in front of Ludwig. And Hudson will stop at second base.
And with a guy like Loesch on the hill, who the Braves know has been struggling this year, you don't want to let him post too many zeros so he starts feeling good about himself.
Yeah, and it's another situation, too, when the foul goes up like that. You know, you can see the effort by Ludwig. You know Schumacher was going out there. It's right up there in that Bermuda Triangle, but it plays head games with a pitcher who's struggling, too. It's like, oh, somebody else, that ball's caught. You know, it doesn't get. You can't think that way. Your teammates, you know, they're your biggest backers. Every time you walk somebody, that's you committing an error, not them.
Here's Chipper Jones, who had a down year for Chipper a year ago, and he'll go down as one of the great switch hitters ever to play Major League Baseball.
He's about third now, right? Mantle, Eddie Murray, and then Chipper. His numbers are up there in so many categories.
1 out, runners at first and second. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. He even hinted after last season, he said, you know, if I'm going to play like this, I might retire. I might not play out the entire contract that I recently signed, because it's not worth it to me and certainly not worth it to the team.
Well, and it's the kind of player he is and the standard he set for himself, that right now his power numbers are, you know, he's probably not the same power hitter by far. The injuries, you know, the little nagging injuries crop up several times more during the season.
What a great player.
You know, but first time I saw him, he was in the Sally League All-Star game as a shortstop.
2-1 pitch, and that's what he was drafted as, a shortstop. Pete Rose talking about great switch hitters. And I ask you, Al, you've been around this game a long time. Those numbers by Chipper, over 2,400 hits, closing in on 430 home runs, over 1,400 RBIs. In certain ways, he measures up to the others. But is it enough to get in the Hall of Fame?
You know, it's to me, it's a little shy. And, you know, I mean, I'd love to say yes. He's been a terrific player. But, you know, in this home run era, I think those 430 plus home runs, whatever he's going to end up with, I think it gets overlooked a little bit.
Now the bases are loaded. And here comes Brian McCann, who struck out looking his first time up. First walk allowed by Kyle Loesch. He's given up a couple of base hits in this inning. Pitch count is over 60. And there's 1 out. Bases loaded for the Atlanta Braves.
See the base runners there. But, Dan, here's what I'm talking about. You know, okay, you've given up 2 hits in this inning. That is not when you walk your first man. I mean, hits are going to happen, but you cannot compound the problem by walking somebody to load the bases.
If you're Dave Duncan, you're Tony La Russa, Al, you're sitting there saying, just be aggressive. If he hits it, he hits it, but don't walk the bases loaded. And
this is, you know, one of their money players, you know, that's coming up. You know, you can see where there's outs in this lineup, and you've got to take advantage of it.
1 out, bases loaded for Brian McCann, the catcher for Atlanta. I don't know if you feel this way, but it seems like first time through the lineup and watching Colby Rasmus, he's moving back a few steps now, but he's been playing a little bit more shallow tonight than in previous games. Maybe he's getting more comfortable out there too.
And I would have to say that, you know, the bench is probably moving him too.
Much of that is done with Dave McKay. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dave McKay is the Cardinals' first base coach, but also will set the defense for the outfield. He was telling me the other day how Colby many times is helping him set the defense with the left and right fielder.
Well, that's one of his responsibilities. And he has that ability that he could look in, find out where Dave wants him, and then he can, he's the closest guy to the left and right fielder, so it makes a lot of sense for him to move his corner outfielders.
And his point out was that he feels more comfortable now in his second year to take charge and do those kind of things. So 1-2 the count here on Brian McCann. The high fly ball lifted out to right field. Tim Hudson, the runner at third base. Throw will come in from Ludwig. It's cut off by Pujols, and it's 1-0 Braves. RBI number 8 for Brian McCann.
We've seen Colby make some really good plays this season. And I know you've talked about it on the air, but Dave McKay was telling us at one point Colby's misleading because he glides. He's so smooth that it doesn't look like he gets a great jump on the ball and has that great acceleration, but he gets there.
Dave McKay even saying that he would extend some of those drills defensively and throw it a little bit further than other guys just to see if he could get to it. A couple of years ago, and he said he was really impressed with how he would get a jump on the ball. And you're right, Jim. He says he glides to the ball and it's effortless for him. Now here's Troy Gloss. Looks at a breaking ball, taken low and away. Some decent pitchers here from Loesch, and he's just not getting the call.
Right. Yeah, it makes a big difference, but it's one of those things you can't let it eat at you. You still try and pitch your game and trying to convince that umpire that's a strike.
And that's a base hit up the middle. 2-0 Atlanta. You could even see after the previous pitch Molina say something to the home plate umpire, and you have to wonder if he was questioning where that pitch was. Let's go to Fox Tracks and take a look at that location, brought to you by Southwest Airlines.
And just down right in the middle of the plate. From that, a pretty good pitch, but he got to, he was looking for a ground ball. He got it. It just happened to go through.
I'm always amazed by Troy, a big guy with a long swing, but he gets around on balls.
And here's Hayward. Here's the opposite of that. They say this guy has got a short, compact swing for a player that is 6'5".
Sometimes, think about it, Jim. Sometimes a guy has slider bat speed. So you throw him a lot of off speed, you're speeding up his bat. You throw the fastballs up and in, you totally lock him up. But you throw an off speed pitch down away, his bat is
but even when he's with the Cardinals, I mean, he would turn on a fastball on the inside, and he does have a big long.
He has to cheat to do it.
1-1 the count with 2 outs and 2 on.
What I mean by that is he's got to say, I'm swinging at this as if it's a fastball. If it's a slider, I'm dead. But that's the only way I can cheat. I can start my swing early.
I don't know about you guys, but this has been the one player I've really wanted to see in person so far this year in Hayward.
I knew that by your enthusiasm talking about it.
And a strikeout.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, me too. Strikeout of Hayward. And Loesch gets his second of the night. It's 2-0 Atlanta. It's what we do. Budweiser first inning, and let's take a look at our text poll. Is Chipper Jones a Hall of Famer? Text Hall A, B, or C to 432-432.
Well, you really couldn't go wrong with C.
That would be your answer that we already heard.
No, I mean, not yet.
I don't think you'd go too wrong with A.
I agree with Jim. It's impressive, though, when he showed you that graphic earlier, just to be even that company of those unbelievable players that have played this game.
Now, let's talk about this, because, you know, Chipper's never been associated with any illegal substances.
Performance-enhancing
drugs, thank you. But he's going to be tainted because of playing in that era.
He's not the only one.
No.
I mean, there's going to be a number of guys that will fall in that category, unfortunately. To his left to make the play, Escobar. But it's a valid point, Al. And you sit there and you look at the numbers and you say, let's just say that it takes a while for him to come up and be on somebody's radar. I mean, he's going to be on the ballot, let's just say, for 5-10 years.
Basically, you're saying the numbers in context with the others might pale a bit.
Here's another guy I'll bring up. Ken Griffey Jr. to me is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay, but he won't be first ballot probably because they don't give it to first ballot guys more times than not. But he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Yet he plays in this era too.
Yeah,
so you wonder where he falls in that category as well.
And I will say I wouldn't have any problem with him being a first ballot.
Does that drive you nuts, though, to hear, you know, some guys, they say, well, you're a first ballot or you're not a first ballot. Bottom line, if you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but I mean, first ballot has to be the real select.
Here's Loesch, and a ground ball hit the first. Loss will flip to Hudson. We were just talking about Hayward during the break. To switch gears a little bit, now you're saying it's almost unfair, you know, about the expectations put on this right fielder of the Atlanta Braves.
Right, because, you know, so much is put on his shoulders that at 20 years of age, it's quite an accomplishment making the team out of spring training. But then to hit in the, you know, an RBI slot in the middle of the order, that so much is being asked of him, where, you know, you better be really tough mentally. And Bobby Cox thinks this guy is well-grounded, wonderful parents, you know, immense talent.
And groomed to do just this.
Right. But what you'd love to see him do is bat in the 7th or 8th spot. And, you know, then those numbers come. But, you know, you don't feel like you're going to be burdened by, you know, like I said, you got. Well, Dan, you said it best. We'll talk about next inning about his production and wins.
And an out by Schumacher off his bat to short Escobar there. Hudson sailing through this game through 3. 2-0 Atlanta. Loesch back to work. There's no, or rather, a 2-0 lead for Atlanta, and no balls and 1 strike here on Melky Cabrera as we start play here in the 4th. Al, you were saying though about Hayward.
I just think that how we try to talk about David Freese, and I'm not comparing him. We all think David's going to be a fine major leaguer, but you break him in a lineup where he's not a lot is going to be expected of him. And hopefully because of that, not having a lot of pressure, he'll get to 15 to 20 home runs. He'll drive in 70, 75 RBIs. So you feel a little better about yourself when you don't do well. You can still contribute, to your team victory with your defense.
Right on cue. Look at this play. Freeze to first. Safe. It's a heck of a play right there to even make that close.
Yeah, he was a little bit off the bag, so he had to backhand it and then slid to stop his momentum. And then by the time he gets up, plier tire service, Exmo Cam. Now he pushes himself up, and Cabrera can run. He's a switch hitter. So from the left side, he's that much quicker, and he beats the throw.
Infield hit for Melky Cabrera. We began our telecast telling you that the Cardinals have made a couple of moves. They're expecting John Jay and Tyler Green to be here in uniform at some point tonight. But Jim, who's still with us, those two have yet to arrive.
Yeah, I just got word they're not here yet. Originally, they expected them at about 6 o'clock. I'm not sure why the delay, but they have not arrived yet.
Coming in from Oklahoma City. So
I talked to Felipe Lopez about his sore elbow, and I said 2 weeks, 15-day DL, that's it. And he said he'll be fine. He's not worried at all.
No, but it was something you had to take care of right now. If he could hit from the left side, but he couldn't throw.
Throw behind and safe at first. Here's Cabrera.
Well, you learn that real quick that Pujols and Molina have this pretty well down pat, and he just got his foot down. Get a great view here, don't you?
Plaza Tire Service, Exmo Cam, and that's the right call.
Good call.
2-0 pitch with nobody out. On paper, this would be an inning where you think that Loesch could get through it and maybe do it in a quicker fashion than the previous 3. It's 7, 8, 9, but Cabrera has the infield hit. 2 balls and a strike here on McLeod, and then you have the pitcher Hudson, who has singled and scored, coming up next.
And he's going to be making his 80th pitch already.
And a comparison between the two, Loesch at 79 and Hudson at 32. That's it. Now, you know Bobby Cox very, very well. And like we said earlier, he said that this will be his final year. What do you think his legacy will be? What do you think of Bobby Cox, a guy that you know very well?
In my mind, Hall of Fame manager. He's 4th in the all-time win list. Tony is 3rd, so they're the 2 most active. Joe Torre behind them. He's been a general manager. Remember, he spent a few years after he went to Toronto.
That's pulled, and it's fair down the right field line. Cabrera on his way to 3rd. Will be dug out by Ludwig. Here comes Cabrera. And a run will score, and it's 3-0 Atlanta.
Well, he spent a couple years as general manager before he turned it over to John Schuerholz, and then they had that tremendous run, 14 straight playoff appearances. It's won a world championship. But right now, as you said, this was supposed to be a quick and efficient inning, and it's nothing but. As the ball's in the middle of the plate, left-hand hitter likes the ball down. And Cabrera comes all around.
So here is Hudson with nobody out and a runner at second base. As you mentioned earlier, Bobby Cox will move to their front office. He has a 5-year extension.
5-year extension. He'll you know, he's just a great sounding board. And as I said, he, you know, Sherholtz was an integral part, but it was Bobby and John Sherholtz.
Molina thought about going to third, but good speed from second base to third and a good jump from Nate McLeod. You know, a lot of times you'll see a guy with a bunt like that. Molina will gun him out at third, but good secondary lead by McLeod, and he's got very good speed, the center fielder for the Braves, to wind up safely at third.
Got to get an out, and he did the right thing by getting the sure out at first.
Back to the top of the lineup in Escobar with one out and a runner at third. So then the question becomes who takes over from Bobby Cox. We mentioned Terry Pendleton. There's some talk that if Freddie Gonzalez would somehow be out in Florida, that he would wind up back in Atlanta.
Yeah, because Freddie was on Bobby's staff for a few years and then got hired as the Florida manager.
And you would have to think that Bobby Cox would have a say in his successor.
Oh, I would imagine. And if Bobby said this guy's ready, I would pretty much agree. I know one of the interesting guys, you know, as a special assistant to their general manager is Jim Fregosi. Now, I doubt that Jim would want to, you know, I'm sure everybody wants to go back on the field, but I'm sure Jim would say, okay, those days are probably over.
Infield is drawn in. That's tapped foul. What you say, though, Al, you want to stay the same course, meaning then you got to get a guy that's a players type manager. And Bobby Cox has always been a guy that people have talked about as being one that gets along with the players, understands his players, and is a players manager.
Well, the one thing that, you know, the core players, and, you know, you had the great three pitching stars, but Chipper Jones and, you know, I mean, but when they got like a Fred McGriff or they got Brian Jordan or anybody that came in there, the veteran or the core players would say, hey, look, Bobby has a good thing here. Don't come in here and try and mess with what he's got. We all respect him, and it's pretty good. You know, it's like Tony's got with his core guys. A newcomer comes in and you say, hey, don't rearrange the furniture.
3-2. 3-0 Atlanta here in the fourth with a runner at third and a 3-2 pitch with one out. Missed off the plate. And the second walk allowed by Kyle Loesch. Atlanta's out hit the Cardinals 7-3, and they lead it by 3 runs.
Bobby didn't have a distinguished playing career like Tony, but Bobby's one of the few guys that, you know, was one of those extra guys that doesn't tinker with the lineup as much. And a lot of your star players, you know, put a set lineup out there and just let them play. You know, say, go get them, guys. And then you get, you know, guys like Tony that's always trying to find an edge or a special matchup that, you know, has a different lineups. But, you know, Bobby pretty much the same thing. He just lets guys go play.
1 ball, 1 strike. Tony La Russa and Bobby Cox. Head-to-head matchup, and some of that time was spent over in the American League when Bobby was with Toronto, right there, and of course Tony with Oakland and Chicago White Sox. Runners at the corners. It's 1 ball, 1 strike on Martin Prado, who was popped out to third and singled and scored.
Bobby had 220 major league games played. With
third
the Yankees,
baseman, right?
Third baseman, and hit 224.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Ripped to third, out there, over to first. Double play. Oh, did he need that? Couldn't hit it much harder. Albert's due up second. This is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. And right now, Jack in the Box is offering a variety of menu items and letting people choose any three for only $3 plus tax. At Busch Stadium in St. Louis, a 3-0 Braves lead as we move to the bottom of the fourth. Ryan Ludwig, Albert Pujols, and Matt Holliday. And so far, so good here for Tim Hudson. He's been very effective. He's allowed just 3 base hits. And his offense has given him a 3-0 lead. Ludwig, first pitch. Grounded to Chipper Jones. Every win during this homestand, fans can take $5 off Lowe's box seats for both the Nationals and Marlins series, May 17th to the 20th. And this could lead to a discount as high as $35, meaning free tickets. So stay tuned and save. For every win the Cardinals get, you take $5 off. For more information, visit Cardinals.com. Cardinals, Al, have been very aggressive, it seems like, early in the count against Tim Hudson. Some hard-hit balls, but nothing to show for it.
Well, it's...
Matter of fact, Ryan Ludwig has seen 2 pitches.
It might have been a good approach going in, but now that you've fallen behind 3-0 and you really haven't done much damage, you might reassess that thinking.
Here comes a 1-0 pitch to Albert Pujols. Ground ball up the middle, base hit. Albert is 2 for 2 as he hit one off the wall his first time up. Tried to extend it to a double, was thrown out at second base. And really some big news around Major League Baseball. Ryan Howard, the St. Louisan from Lafayette High School, has signed an extension with the Philadelphia Phillies. It's 5 years and they'll get $25 million a year. And of course you have to wonder how that would affect the contract status of Albert Pujols. Any contract that comes up now, you just start saying, okay, how does that affect Albert? And where do we go from here? Time will tell. Here's Matt Holliday. He singled, then was caught stealing. It's a double steal and a hit and run, and was thrown out at third.
Well, Matt was 7 years, 120. Now Howard, 5 years, 125. It's for the recovery from the reception.
1 out and a runner at first. 3-0 Braves as they'll go inside, and Hudson missed with that pitch low and away. Tim Hudson was inducted into the Auburn Baseball Wall of Fame this past February. Went in with Bo Jackson and Frank Thomas, also Greg Olson, another former major leaguer.
How about the defense there?
Ball scoots away, read perfectly by Pujols, and he'll wind up in scoring position. That could eliminate a potential double play.
Now you have that secondary lead. You see that slight separation between catcher and ball, and you take another little 3 steps and off you're going right there. Albert, as you said, read it perfectly, gets himself in scoring position. And they really play Holliday, hit the ball out into right center.
Actually fairly shallow is Cabrera in left. Here's a ground ball to short. Holliday hustling all the way, and a nice play by Yunel Escobar, who took that hit away and showed off his arm. And you talk to the Atlanta staff, and they love the talent of Yunel Escobar. Now, there's some things along the way that they've had to work on with him, but as far as talent is concerned, they say he is extremely talented.
Exactly right. You make those plays, make your pitching staff look that much better.
That's a good play.
Sure hit, and takes it away, and Albert advances over to third for 2 outs, and now they may pitch Rasmus a little more carefully now.
Colby singled to the right side, first time up. It's 3-0 Braves. 2 outs, Albert Pujols at third. Big gap into right center. That's something you rarely see. Runner at third at this level, and a throw back by the catcher, and one of the middle infielders is backing it up to make sure it doesn't get away.
It's not a bad idea.
It's a great idea. You just don't see it
right
in the major leagues. That was Martin Prado, and he does it again.
And come over here and just looking for that throw to get by, and
I can't tell you the last time I saw a middle infielder do that at this level.
Yeah, it's not cool. It just makes all baseball sense, but it's not cool.
Here's a 2-0 pitch.
It also takes effort.
And there he comes in. A lot of times, you know, you won't even see a third baseman back up a pitcher when he throws over to first.
Well, or how many times you see pitchers, if they give up an extra base hit, there's going to be a run, a possible play at the plate, and they're standing still between the mound and home plate, not backing it up.
2-1 is hit down the left field line and foul. In San Francisco over the weekend, the Giants were actually practicing base running with some of the young players. And in talking with certain members of the coaching staff, they said, well, you know, a lot of young guys get to the major leagues and they need to be taught how to play the game properly. Situational baseball.
I'd love to elaborate on that.
Here's a 2-2 pitch to Colby. Good block by McCann.
You know, Dan, sometimes it just doesn't make sense with the money they invest in players today. And, you know, and then you see, and I don't mean to slight any minor league manager, but they really, you know, were guys that really didn't play a whole lot. Now they've been tutored, they've been, you know, learned through Cardinal baseball and how to manage and how to, you know, coach.
That's a called third strike.
But not like the guys that we were talking about.
And that's 2 strikeouts for Hudson on the night. We move to the 5th here at Busch Stadium. It's 3-0 Atlanta. Advantage and an extraordinary Cardinals baseball experience. For reservations and information, call 314-421-1776 or visit them online at HiltonSt.Louis.com. Glad you're with us tonight from Busch Stadium. Top of the 5th rolls in, and it's 3-0 Atlanta. They've got 7 hits tonight against Cal Loesch. And Loesch is already at 92 pitches tonight. And he'll get 3, 4, and 5. Chipper Jones, Brian McCann, and Troy Gloss, the former Cardinal. Chipper tonight is grounded out to short and walked in the 3rd. Chipper Jones, such a good athlete. We talked earlier how he came up as a shortstop, has played the outfield, and now his everyday position is at third base. The 2-0 pitch. Lifts it out to deep left field. Holiday is back in front of the track to make the catch. Visit the official online shop of the Cardinals at Cardinals.com. And you can browse the largest selection of official gear which includes apparel, memorabilia, something for the entire family. Get your gear from the official source. That's the Cardinals.com shop. That's hit the other way as well. Backing up Holiday on the track to make the catch, out number 2. Good folks at Schnucks providing this date in baseball history. And back in 2000, the Cardinals set a Major League Baseball record by hitting 50 home runs in the month of April. This date in baseball history brought to you by Schnucks.
2000, huh?
And that's a strike to Troy Gloss. I want to remind folks that the Nat Dubman Memorial Golf Tournament at Lake Forest Country Club is coming up. And that's all to benefit the American Parkinson Disease Association. That's May 17th. And that tournament will feature a question and answer session with General Manager John Mozeliak. He is the honorary chair as Gloss hits it out to center. So John Mozeliak, the honorary chair in that golf tournament at Lake Forest Country Club on May 17th. Good inning for Loesch. How many of his 714 home runs did Babe Ruth hit with the Boston Braves? 6 for Babe Ruth. Here's Yadier Molina. Molina, Freeze, and Ryan. Yadier Molina is fly to left with 2 runners on.
That wasn't Hank Aaron, that was Babe Ruth.
Yadier tonight has flied out to left. Oh, 2 pitch. Cardinals Ticket Fest is back at McDonald's. Stop in and order a select extra value meal and receive a huge discount on Cardinals tickets. Ticket Fest at McDonald's while supplies last. 0-2 pitch. See there in our camera, the slow-mo camera, some of the rain that is still falling. And a 1-2 pitch to Yadi Molina.
I have to say, even with that efficient inning for Loesch, his last one, that Reyes is warming up and Hudson's thrown half his pitches. Half the pitches of Loesch tonight.
See, the rain has picked up a little bit too. Reyes getting loose. If you're the Braves, boy, you're sick of seeing the rain. You saw it this weekend in New York, last night at Citi Field.
And they lost 1-0. And what was it, 5 or 6 innings?
And Tommy Hanson on the mound. He's pitching very well.
You got to sit around and fly to St. Louis. So they got here about 3:30 in the morning.
3-2 pitch. Molina chops it foul. That might be an aspect of Major League Baseball that Bobby Cox can do without. Some of those late nights, early mornings, if you will. It's a walk to Molina. It's the first walk allowed by Tim Hudson.
Earlier about a lot of the Cardinals swinging early in the count. I guess that's just showing respect for his put away pitch, a splitter.
Tim Hudson came over from the A's for Juan Cruz, Dan Meyer, and Charles Thomas back in December of 2004. For 6 years in Oakland. That season he was 20-6 back in 2000.
Other than Danny Herron, I don't know if I'd want to deal with Oakland when it has to do with the pitcher.
That's it down the right field line. It's slicing and out of play. You're thinking about the Mulder deal.
Mulder deal. I mean, Hudson had some arm problems when he came over, and then obviously that was a lopsided trade. He's been worth it.
Barry Zito went as a free agent.
$126 million, and now they're starting to. Giants are getting some dividends, but as you guys explained over the weekend, that 50% of the time he's getting less than 2 runs support.
1-1 is taken a little bit high by David Freese. Hudson has struck out 2. He's walked 1 and allowed 4 base hits.
It was hard to understand why they let Danny Herron go.
Didn't make any sense. Here's a little bouncer to short. Out at second, on to first, and a double play. 6-4-3. This Friday, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older receive a St. Louis Cardinals Sluggy fleece blanket with roomy sleeves. It's brought to you by AT&T. A cold like tonight be perfect if you had that Sluggy.
Well, John Jay has arrived as he is swinging at the on-deck circle. So if Brendan Ryan can get on base instead in the inning, we'll see a Major League debut for John Jay.
He's wearing number 15. Number that was worn for a number of years by Jim Edmonds. One ball, one strike on Brendan Ryan, who was grounded out to short. He's 0 for 1 tonight. Last year, in coming back from his surgery, 7 games for Hudson. Then he missed a bunch of time, obviously. Year before that, he was 11-7. He's been a 16-game winner. That was back in 07 with the Braves, his best year. Two and one the count with 2 outs and nobody on. Hudson trying to get through 5 here. They want it outside. It's a spot off the end of the bat, strike 2. And a 2-2 pitch. The strikeout of Brendan Ryan. His struggles continue. He's 0 for 2. 3 strikeouts tonight for Hudson. Chris Carpenter will go tomorrow for the Cardinals. It's our Budweiser What's on Tap. Budweiser, the great American lager. Cardinals and Braves, Game 2. And we'll come your way with the pregame show at 6:30 here on Fox Sports Midwest. Loesch back to work. Of course, he was left on deck the bottom of the 5th. Jason Hayward, Melky Cabrera, and Nate McLeod. It was pitch number 100. You did have the lefty coming up to face possibly 3 left-handed batters.
It'll be his last day of work, but even though it's a 3-0 deficit, this has been a very lopsided game. Cardinals have 4 hits, and they had 3 of them between the second out, or the last out of the first inning, and the first 2 batters in the second, and they've lost 2 runners on base.
Hayward is 0 for 2. 3-0 pitch. Carpenter making his 5th start of the season tomorrow. That'll come on his 35th birthday. Last start against Atlanta was last year. Gave up 7 runs in that game as Hayward pops it up. Brendan Ryan makes the catch. And Jason Hayward is 0 for 3. Wonderful to be back in St. Louis with our home crew. It's Dawn, and we have the best in the business, no doubt. Here's Melky Cabrera, who is 2 for 2. Infield hit his last time up. Also scored a run on the double by Nate McLeod. And a fastball in there for a strike. Carpenter is coming off back-to-back games with 10 strikeouts in each of those games. First time he's done that in his career.
See if Loesch can give him credit for giving his team a chance to come from behind.
And this has popped up. 7 pitches last inning and 8 pitches this inning. You can visit FoxSportsMidwest.com to see interviews of your favorite players. Watch new Rams quarterback Sam Bradford field questions from the St. Louis media for the first time. See it now at FoxSportsMidwest.com. Plenty of Cardinal highlights and features on there as well. Here's McLeod with an RBI double, and he'll hit a fly ball into shallow center. Backing up Brendan Ryan. Coming on, it's Rasmus, and Colby makes the catch. So back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings for Kyle Loesch. 3-0 Atlanta. Midwest is brought to you by Lumiere Casino. If the Cardinals win, Lumiere Place is giving away $10 in free play. Register at My Choice Center the next day. And by AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Here is John Jay. And he's making his major league debut. The 25-year-old second-round pick from the University of Miami. 2006, 74th overall. And he started this season with a 16-game hitting streak at AAA Memphis. Second best in all the minor leagues. And he's in the top 5 in at-bats, hits, runs, doubles, stolen bases prior to tonight. So he finds himself in the hole in his first at-bat in the major leagues, 0-2 against Tim Hudson. Welcome to the big leagues as he strikes out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Hudson.
Let's see, good job keeping the ball away from him. Look at the tailing action down and away. And he's been pretty much in command all night long.
Here's Skip Schumacher. Schumacher twice is grounded out to short, 0-2. Loesch's night is through. He gives up 7 hits, 3 runs. Ludwig is on deck, and here comes a 1-0 pitch.
Tom McClellan warming up now, so he'll be the pitcher in the top of the 7th inning.
Schumacher had a 3-run homer on Wednesday night. Those were his first RBIs of the season and his only RBIs. First moved in from the outfield last year, now the everyday second baseman.
He's hit 300 the last 2 years as an everyday player, and 3 years total, when you go back when he was splitting time. But
it's walk number 2 allowed by Hudson. His pitch count is still under 70. Let's see if the Cardinals can't do some damage here. They've got big bats. Here's Ludwig, and on deck it's Pujols.
Talked about how Ludwig swung at the first pitch in each of his first 2 plate appearances. See what he does here.
See 68 pitches tonight for the righty Tim Hudson. We talked about on-base percentage being a concern for the Cardinals, not drawing many walks. That series against the Giants, the Cardinals hit .219. There's 3 games over the weekend. One ball, 1 strike. At some point in time, you have to give the credit to the other side and kind of pitching that the Cardinals faced, which was very good this weekend.
Well, but a lot of strikeouts in there. Now that's part of the good pitching, but I think we all watched those games. We saw a lot of hitters expand their hitting zone.
And one guy who seems to be getting locked back in is Pujols, who's on deck. He's got 2 hits tonight, coming off a 3-hit day yesterday. That home run against Matt Cain. You would hope so.
All throughout his career, we've only known him to be locked in.
Big gap in the left center. The 1-2 is in the dirt. Nice play by Brian McCann. Not only to block that, but then to catch it. And even if Schumacher wanted to run, there was no chance. He would have been gone at second.
Just overthrows it right there. A little weight shift, and he's ready to throw out Schumacher if he tried to advance.
Cardinals bounced into a double play, 6-4-3 off the bat of Freese in the 5th. Here's a 2-2 pitch now to Ludwig with 1 out. Schumacher was faking running second base, and now the count runs full. So you'd figure with Pujols on deck, Ludwig gets a real good pitch to hit here. There goes Schumacher, and the pitch is lined in the right center. McLouth over, won't get there. It bounces in for a base hit. Schumacher on his way to third. That was do or die for both the runner and the center fielder. McLouth replacing his divot, and let's go pitch by pitch presented by Chevrolet.
Up and in, spins away from ball 1, then he gets a strike. Then ball back inside, jams him, bounces his off-speed pitch, another slider out away, and then the fastball in the 3-2 pitch down there, and he hits it to center field. No, ball out away from him in the strike zone, goes down and gets it. 3-2, just look for a strike. The runner was going, as you said, he was too far. If McLouth catches that ball, it's a sure double play, but he doesn't.
See the numbers for Pujols. And Albert hits it out to right field. Jason Hayward is over near the line, reaches up, and it's out of play. If you're Atlanta, you're saying, well, I think I might give up that out and run and get Pujols out of there. Instead, Albert's got another life.
Trying about catch the foul ball and concede an RBI to Albert, but get the first out. You still got a 2-run lead.
Pujols with 2 of the 5 hits tonight. This crowd comes alive here at Busch Stadium.
They got Ludwig in Arizona, didn't it?
Fake to third, throw to first. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Up and in.
Let's see how Hudson throws enough inside to keep hitters honest, keep them away from diving across the plate or getting the breaking ball or splitter away.
Matt Holliday on deck. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 runners on with 1 out. Time called by Pujols.
I would assume that they want this ball inside on the fastball. And they changed signs after the brief timeout.
That pitch right there has been getting Albert.
Yep.
It's a good pitch.
Well, that's what we're talking about. When you could fool Albert, when he expands his zone like that, and he becomes a regular hitter. Not the great Albert Pujols when he expands his zone. Same pitch.
1-2. Pujols doesn't chase. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hot zone of Albert Pujols right down the middle. You wonder how many chances he's had, but at 200 it's been the top left portion of it, so outside pitches for Pujols.
Some hitters, usually it's a notoriously bad ball hitter. Albert is not that. You throw it right down the middle and let him confuse himself, whether you inside out it, uppercut it, they just see it and they can't figure out how to get to it.
Again, I'll make the point now, you got to wonder how many have been right down the middle against Pujols, too.
Right. There's a sinker.
2-2 pitch. Pujols, a ground ball left side. Stopped by the shortstop. Escobar throws to first and gets Albert, but a run scores. RBI number 18 for Albert Pujols to cut the lead to 3-1. Schumacher scores the first run of the night.
18th RBI for Albert. And a 2-run deficit. Now it's a sinker. Now the Braves are trying to get a ground ball, and hopefully they can get 2 out of it. They get the ground ball, but it's a little bit more in the hole between short and third, and they can only get the out at first.
In steps Holliday. 7 for 25 on the road trip. He's 1 for 2 tonight. Had 2 of the team's 4 hits against Zito on Saturday night. Tying run at the plate. Pitch taken inside. A week ago, he hit his last home run. 1-0 pitch. It's a good slider as he paints the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's the pitch that he got Pujols to swing and miss at.
Except it was a little bit higher in the zone. I think Holliday thought it was high and away.
See
Hudson getting him to go after pitches out of the strike zone.
One-two pitch to Holliday. In the air to deep center field. That'll stay in the ballpark, and McLeod is there in front of the track. So the Cardinals pick up a run on the RBI by Pujols. Cuts the lead to 3-1 after 6. Well, we posed the question earlier, is Chipper Jones a Hall of Famer? Our U.S. Cellular text poll, and the fans have voted in. They say yes at 74%. And we appreciate everybody for texting and voting in tonight on our U.S. Cellular text poll. 3-1 Atlanta. Seventh inning rolls in. Here's McClellan. One pitch. That's a fair ball. Off the bat of Hudson. One out. It's been a while since we've seen Kyle McClellan. His last outing was in Arizona. He was roughed up a couple of innings, gave up 3 hits and an earned run, and walked 3. And that's the thing you get concerned about, where the walks is now Chevy called to the bullpen.
And best way to stop walking people is to be out there more frequently. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Good starting pitching, it takes away innings from the bullpen. Make a case for some of those guys in the pen need more work than they're receiving.
Here's Escobar. And very well could be a byproduct, though, of your starting staff pitching well.
Exactly.
Going deep, and it's a good problem to have.
And relievers know that it's something they have to put up with. And
so the question is, for you, being a former reliever, how do you try to stay sharp when you're starting staff, if you're not in that live action? How do you stay sharp out there in the bullpen? What do you have to do?
It's very difficult, and you can throw on the side, but it's not like game action with the same adrenaline flow. But it's more between the ears. You just have to fight it and go. When you get out there on the mound, just say that you're ready, and just trust that your ability will take over.
1-2 on the leadoff man for the Braves, Escobar, who is 0 for 2 with a walk. Good breaking ball from Kyle McClellan. So McClellan in relief of Loesch, who gave up 7 base hits and 3 runs.
Nasty breaking ball here. But anytime that ball starts out around the belt, it's going to break down and out of the strike zone. But it's so tempting, and that's when his breaking ball is so sharp when he starts it at the belt, and then you see that great downward action that they can't stop their swing.
And here's Martin Prado with 2 outs. Fastball in there for a strike. And for McClellan, it's been a long week or so thinking about the next time he would get his chance. That's just human nature. After a rough outing, you want to get back out there. He had to sit there and watch all weekend in San Francisco, and then finally back out there tonight.
But you also know when you play that mental game, and if I get people out, I'll be back out there soon enough.
Molina wants it down and in. Gets it there. Way inside to Prado. Effective pitch.
Yep. Hitter can only cover half the plate. One portion of the plate. You can't cover both sides.
Breaking ball, and McClellan thought he had fooled not only the hitter, but apparently he fooled everybody else.
He did. There's no doubt about it. And it happens more often than you believe. Set up away, so the breaking ball, you see the knees buckle, and it's right over the inside part of the corner. But because you're set up away, it's an illusion that there's a big blank spot from the catcher's glove to where the hitter is, and it almost sends a message to the umpire that it's the ball.
And Prado, watching that swing, he was expecting the curveball after catching a break, apparently, according to Fox Tracks, and just got a piece of the last pitch.
Now you should have him really guessing as to what he's going to see.
Count runs full. Chipper Jones on deck. 2 outs, nobody on. The Braves have a lead of 3-1. They picked up 2 in the third and another in the fourth.
So he's not breaking ball now. No.
Ground ball, Freeze to his left. Gets up, has to hurry, makes the play. Fine play again from David Freeze to St. Louis and over third base. It's time to stretch. Rasmus, Molina, and David Freeze coming up. And the 7th inning is the Hyundai long drive inning, and you can enter for your chance to win a new Hyundai Sonata at your St. Louis area Hyundai dealers. Entry forms and entry boxes are at Hyundai dealers now, and we'll draw our first qualifying winners very soon. Register now and good luck. Hudson pitching into the 7th. Here's Colby. Rasmus tonight with a single. That was in the 2nd inning. Also struck out Looking. That was in the 4th. 1 for 2. Hudson has struck out 4. Good inning of work from Kyle McClellan. He'll head back out there for the 8th inning. And the Cardinals at this point down by 2.
And activity behind Hudson. Still pitch count only at 85, but Bobby Cox has a righty and a lefty going.
There's a familiar face out there to close games out. Billy Wagner, signed in the offseason. And Bobby Cox saw him last year pitching with Boston. Right before he went to Boston, he was with the Mets, pitched against Atlanta. And he went 1-2-3 against the Braves. And he said he always, before his career ended, wanted to be with Bobby Cox in Atlanta, so he signed a 1-year deal. And now he's in their bullpen. 2-2 on Colby Rasmus.
Peter Moylan is the right-hander.
They've got 4 lefties in their bullpen.
Doherty.
O'Flaherty
is the left-hander.
Eric O'Flaherty. Colby corks one down the right field line, and this is gone. Home run just over the wall. Colby Rasmus with his 6th home run, 2nd hit tonight, and his 11th RBI, and it cuts the lead to 3-2.
Pitch location is, and it seems like he gets a ball in the inner part of the plate, he can just ride it out of here. And there you see a nice freeze of the extension, lift off.
That full extension, you always hear about it with hitters, Al. You get that full extension and the power comes that way. He finishes high. Just yanked it down the right field line for the home run. So it cuts the lead to 3-2. The Cardinals have been out hit in this game 7-6, and it's a 3-2 Atlanta lead.
All love to get their arms extended out there. And you see there's your high finish you talk about, and the left hand comes off the bat.
And you wonder if Hudson's starting to tire a little bit. Remember, coming off of Tommy John, and that's maybe one of the reasons why you see Bobby Cox, even before 90 pitches, starting to get guys loose and get them ready. You just don't know how you're going to bounce back in that first month or so of the season.
And, you know, Bobby knows him better than us, and he communicate with him, but talk about 2 offenses that really kind of not firing all cylinders. We thought it'd be a pretty competitive game, and give Loesch credit for keeping his team in it.
3-1. Very fine top of the 7th by McClellan. He will deal with 3, 4, and 5 coming up in the 8th. And that's a walk to Yadier Molina. Third walk issued by Hudson. Here's our Hardy's prime cut of the game.
Up in the zone and hit hard, and Bobby Cox a long, slow walk. Made a few of those in St. Louis, hadn't he?
Oh, yeah. Just thinking the same thing. This is our call to the bullpen. brought to you by Chevy. So we'll tell you about the big right-hander coming in for the Braves when we come back. Tying run at first. Go-ahead run coming to the plate. Is the new pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. And this is a guy that has not given up a home run since the 2008 season. And Tommy John surgery also that year. And last year he came back in 09 and set a franchise record with 87 appearances.
His first Brave with 2 80 appearance seasons. Did that in 07 and then, as you said, in 09.
He is from Australia.
Snapped his scoreless streak at 7 1/3 innings last night. He gave up his first earned runs.
Kind of a sidewinder. You see why he'll be very tough on the right-handers. 6'2", 200 pounds, 31 years old.
Every hitter wants to look at the release point. And you get a side armor to a right-hander, almost like he's releasing it behind your back. But if you're a left-handed hitter, you see it very clearly, the release point. Bigger advantage to the left-handed hitter.
Check on Yadier Molina. So Hudson goes 6+, gives up 6 hits. He walks 3 and strikes out 4 in the home run to Colby Rasmus. Freeze. Foul. Off the hands. A souvenir for the folks here at Busch. Cold, chilly night here at Busch Stadium.
It's the 80-degree weather.
We miss it.
You can't complain with the weather we've had so far.
0-2 pitch, way outside. How about Freeze after that Sunday night in Milwaukee? Struggled defensively, made a couple of errors in that game, and since then he's just put that behind him and really has made some nice defensive plays.
Very true. And maybe you just wake up and say, hey, okay, I've made those errors now, and now go live up to my advanced billing.
Stays away from that pitch, and you can see where righties would chase that out of the zone.
Very important not let that front shoulder fly open. Same with the hitter, same with the pitcher.
Left fielder Cabrera is deeper for Freeze than he was for Pujols or Holiday. Big gap in the left center. Did he go? No. That's the pitch right there we were just talking about. 3-2.
A lot of times a pitcher would just try to get ahead of you and then never throw another strike. Allow the hitter to be over anxious, get himself out. I don't think it's going to be away, and it's a fastball away called.
Runner from first goes, and the pitch is hit down the right field line. Hayward is over and out of room for a foul ball. National League East is led by the Phillies. They lead by a game and a half over Florida, Washington, New York, and Atlanta with their 8-10 mark, 3 games out. And Phillies are in San Francisco tonight. Roy Halladay, what a start he is off to here in the National League.
Fastball away, 3-2.
Runner goes again. Hayward is back on the track to make the catch. Had him shaded to the opposite way. And that's the first out. Here's shortstop Brendan Ryan.
Oh, he's really fighting it, isn't he?
He is struck out swinging in the 5th and grounded out to short in the 3rd. He's hitting 164. Later in the game, do you think Tony may have bunted in that spot?
You know, it's just, he doesn't. The bench is just so inexperienced. I mean, right now, you know, you're dealing with all rookies on that bench. Gavin Noah is the only one that's got a little bit of experience, and David Freese, your everyday third baseman, you got to let him have some of those at bats to drive in people. Now, if you had a whole bunch of veterans on that bench or something like that, by all means, yes. Brendan Ryan is struggling. Just remind you that, you know, we all assumed that Brendan Ryan, after the outstanding season he had a year ago, that he would just pick up and take off from there. But his game doesn't always work that way. Not to say that he can't get back and be the hitter he was, but right now he's not.
1 ball, 1 strike.
There's nothing but, there's no balance. You know, he swings at pitches that he's totally off balance, even taking pitches. You know, he's stumbling across the plate, looking to see.
Molina is running. Throw down to second. And a stolen base for Yadier Molina.
Well, he had 9 last year to tie the Cardinals records for a catcher, and they picked the right pitch. It helped that the second baseman dropped the ball, but he was safe, and he steals this off the pitcher. You see where he made the false move, but they still went home. He would have been safe even if he catches the ball.
Now the tying run in scoring position with Molina.
Why waste a bunt when you get a base stealer out there?
Will this be a pick-me-up for Brendan Ryan? Oof, tough pitch to take there. Moylan thought he had strike 3.
That's it. I mean, right now the way Brendan Ryan's going, always have to protect with 2 strikes, but I mean, he can ill afford to take any of those pitches that are that close.
One out and a runner at second base. 2-2 pitch to Brendan. Here it comes. Time called. Time was called before the delivery to the plate and granted for Brendan Ryan.
Ryan Anderson, the backup catcher, who will probably be sent to Memphis tomorrow when Jason LaRue is activated, is on deck. Denny's Reyes is warming up.
Two. And he went. A strikeout of Brendan Ryan.
Pitch foot outside.
So he strikes out twice tonight. Brian Anderson will be the pinch hitter.
Breaking ball, and look at how far out. Yep. And here's the old sinker baller. Roger McDowell, you know, had a good career with the Mets, primarily sinker ball pitcher. He'll come out and talk about Brian Anderson a little bit.
You got 4 lefties out there for Bobby Cox if you wanted to use one here and burn him. Instead, he'll go with Moylan here against the youngster Brian Anderson.
Anderson doesn't have a lot of power, so they don't have to play particularly deep.
Hit out to left. That's a base hit. Here comes Molina. He will score, and this game is tied. Brian Anderson into second. Safe.
Second major league hit, his first RBI for Brian Anderson. If he is sent home packing, that'll make it a little bit easier. Last thing they remember is this little swing. Now, I think because Milky Cabrera has to go to the corner, Molina's going to score. But when he dropped the ball and kicked the ball, that guaranteed that Anderson was going to get himself into scoring position. Cabrera comes over, he boots the ball, and then by the time he gets it in, Anderson get out there. And now, it gives you an idea what they think of the lefties.
So they'll intentionally pass Schumacher and bring up Ryan Ludwig. You don't argue much with Bobby Cox, though, do you?
No, I mean, Hall of Fame managers make all kinds of decisions in the course of the game. But it's like anything. You make the decision you want. All your instincts tell you. But then it's up to the execution of your players.
Like you said, though, it maybe gives you an indication of what he thinks. He's got 4 of them out there. Cardinals campout presented by Bass Pro Shops and Tracker Boats is back on Friday, May 7th. The Cardinals take on the Pirates. Come spend a night on the field and under the stars at Busch Stadium. Number to call is 314-345-9500 or cardinals.com/campout.
Look at the huge gap out in the left center. All that area out there is, they figure that sidearm delivery, they'll keep the ball away from Ludwig.
First pitch taken for a ball. Cardinals picked up a run in the 6th and 2 more here in the 7th. They've tied it up at 3-3 with 2 outs, runners at first and second.
I'd be really disciplined to make sure you swing in a strike.
1-0 pitch to Ludwig. With Albert Pujols on deck, 1 ball, 1 strike. Ludwig tonight has flied out to right, grounded out to third, and singled in the 6th. This is the only National League team that he is not homered against. He'd love to change that here.
Do factor.
Prado was making his way towards second base.
And a lot of pitchers in a situation like this not comfortable throwing to a base, so Moylan does the right thing, just step off. Let everyone reset.
And a 1-1 pitch to Ludwig. Here it comes. As you mentioned earlier, trying to keep your front shoulder in against a guy like Moylan, you can see that Ludwig opened up.
And you really have to concentrate on hitting the ball up the middle to the right side, hold that front shoulder in, just concentrate on driving the ball straight back through the box. If the ball's inside, your hands will be quick enough to get there. Keeping Anderson very close. Prado kind of keeps on jockeying with Brian out at second base.
And a 1-2 pitch. 2-2.
As a pitcher, this is where you want to retire the hitter in this pitch. You don't want to run it full with 2 outs and those runners are moving.
Little bouncer hit to short. And Escobar just steps on the bag and the inning comes to a close, but Brian Anderson ties it up, driving in Molina. It's 3-3. In 55 seconds in our game tonight, it was during segment of our open, and Albert Pujols 2 for 3 with an RBI. McCann and Hayward combined 0 for 5. One does have an RBI. Rasmus, the solo home run that made it 3-2. And their starter, Tim Hudson, goes into the 7th and gives up 3 earned runs.
And one of the things that's lost in this game is Kyle Loesch. You know, he gave up 2 runs in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, but then had his best pitching and most efficient time in 5 and 6, kept his team right in there, and now it's a battle of the bullpens.
It's good work by McClellan. His inning of work.
And Reyes is off to a good start this year. His 9th appearance. 1-0, no ERA. Opponents are only batting .071 against him, leads the major leagues in stranding runners.
So you turn around Chipper Jones, who has hit 300 or better 10 different times in his tremendous career. It was just 2 seasons ago when he won a batting championship. He had 364 in 2008. Reaches for that. Slowly hit. Here's Freeze on the move and makes the play.
Albert got spiked. Throw was a little bit up the first baseline, and look at David Freese, so concerned. Saying, I know that shuttle's going between Memphis and St. Louis. I heard Albert, I'll be on it.
Get a better look here.
Well, it's a little slow tapper. He's got a nice exchange there and gets rid of it, but Chipper clipped Albert's heel. Didn't really look like there was much to it, but
now they're looking at his wrist.
Well, maybe got the wrist in there, you know, catching the ball. It was up the first base line a little bit, and you know, you're a little vulnerable, stretching out, making that catch, and the runner coming by and maybe hit you in that glove. He says he's okay.
Pujols is due up first in the bottom of the 8th. Apparently this caught Chipper's left shoulder, the glove of Albert Pujols, and here's Brian McCann. Let's take a look.
I see him going right there, and a little slight contact with the glove hand and the left shoulder. Doesn't take much. You know, when you're talking about the dexterity of a wrist or fingers. Heard DeMarco Farr talking today about.
Here's a ground ball hit to second. 2 outs.
Some of the injuries that knock out baseball players that would be laughed at by football players. And it's very true, but I mean, you just don't hear about a bruised forearm taking out a right tackle or a blister.
Hey, it happens.
But in baseball, it's a different sport, and a blister to a pitcher on his pitching hand could be devastating.
And I, for one, would not be willing to argue with DeMarco Farr. If he says that, I say, okay, DeMarco, that's what you're saying. No problem.
Dan, I'm telling you.
And he's a nice guy.
I'm telling you.
He's one of the really nice guys.
Hey, I'll back you up. But if he gets on top of you, I'm helping him. If you're on top of DeMarco, then I'll be your partner.
That's shocking that you would say that. The crowd tonight of 35,257. The Super Bowl champ, DeMarco Farr. Watch out. Now working in local radio here in St. Louis. 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 outs.
This could be part of the Fox family.
Did a lot of the college football Saturdays. One pitch to Troy Gloss. Against the Cardinals, 17 for 30 for Troy Gloss. 2-1 pitch, up and in.
Troy with his 2 hits tonight is over 200.
Played a handful of games with the Cardinals last year as he was coming back.
Yeah, just 14 games, hit 172.
Strike on the outside corner.
And we're seeing that from Troy, as we'll see on Fox Tracks if it's a strike or not. Just a little off the plate, but hey, we'll do it again. I'm sure that umpire will give him a close call now.
And it's in the dirt. So a 2-out walk to Troy Gloss. And in steps Jason Hayward. First walk issued by Reyes. And the first walk taken by the Atlanta Braves since the 4th inning. Hayward tonight in his St. Louis debut here in town is 0 for 3. And the youngsters for the Cardinals, Colby Rasmus, David Freese, stolen the thunder of Mr. Hayward so far. And that could change with one swing of the bat.
Hank Aaron, after he hit his first major league plate appearance, was a home run, got another hit in that game, and Hank Aaron commenting about how important Hayward and some of the other young African Americans are to the sport, and hopefully a revival of some of the youngsters in the inner city to start playing baseball again. Major League Baseball's had a lot of programs, the RBI program reviving baseball in the inner city for many, many years, but losing a lot of those superior athletes to other sports.
Gloss a short lead at first, the 2-0 pitch. 2-1. All of a sudden, Reyes can't find the plate. At the first 2, he got Chipper Jones to ground out. McCann grounded out to second. There's a walk to Gloss. And now 3-1 on Hayward. back-to-back walks. And Tony heads to the phone. It's first and second now for Melky Cabrera.
Another switch hitter, and then you got McLeod, a left-hand hitter, so that's why they've left Reyes out here for this extended period of time. With the switch hitters in this lineup, there's 5 left-handed or switch hitters in the lineup tonight. Pinch runner for Gloss, right? Conrad Brooks is the runner out there.
That would be Brooks Conrad.
No, Brooks Conrad. Just flip the other way.
Just flip it. That's all right.
Jason Mott now gets up.
So runners at first and second, 2 outs. And Molina's able to keep it in front. And Reyes just cannot throw a strike right now.
And he might have gotten shaking up Molina a little bit.
Watch this play from Molina.
Right at the feet, comes up and he's kind of blinded, stabbing at it. Does a tremendous job to keep it in the vicinity and no advancement. He felt that. There you see Jason Mott.
Pitched yesterday, and then Cardinals turn it over to Ryan Franklin, who's been perfect in save opportunities. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals will have Pujols, Holiday, Rasmus coming up.
And I think that was a strike, but you're lucky you get that call after all the pitches out of the zone. Oh, same pitch and doesn't get the call.
Cabrera pops it up without a play, 2-2. It's a big pitch here in this ball game. Good block again by Molina. It's almost as if he's short-armed it.
Run out of gas. How often does he have to throw 22 pitches? Cabrera is a 100 hitter from this side of the plate.
Ground ball, just foul.
There are 2 for 20 from the right side. Came in and was added to his average with 2 for 3 from the left side. Now batting 177.
Another 3-2 instead. A check on the runner at second base. Brooks Conrad. (3-2) hammered foul again.
Hopefully everybody's okay on that one.
(3-2) pitch. Out to center field. Rasmus is there to make the catch. Coming up, Pujols, Holiday, and Colby Rasmus. Light Lime, the drinkability of Bud Light with refreshing taste of lime. By AT&T Uverse, a better TV experience. Visit AT&T.com for details. And by Bank of America, Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. Takashi Saito, 8th appearance for the Atlanta Braves, 2.57 ERA, and opponents hitting 160 against him. He's a former closer, had some good years in Los Angeles, had 39 saves one year. That was in 2007. And last year he had 2 saves with Boston. Conrad stays in the ballgame at second base.
When you take about Sato and Wagner, those 2 pretty good additions back into your bullpen.
No doubt. He gets Pujols here to start things off. Albert 3 for 3. As an RBI tonight, his 18th on the year. Against Saito, he is 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Two balls and no strikes. Crowd tonight, 35,257. 2-0 pitch. Saito had that little hesitation in his delivery to the plate. Kind of pauses at the top. And if you walk Pujols, you get Holiday, who's 5 for 11 against Saito. Three balls and 1 strike.
Saito last season was with Boston.
56 games as a setup man. As you mentioned before, a couple of saves.
Big strikeout pitcher.
52 and 55 innings a year ago. Here's a 3-1 pitch to Pujols. Pulled past third, and Albert is thinking 2 out of the box. Touches first, on his way to second, and in there safely. Lead-off double for Albert Pujols.
Ball running in on him, he clears his hip, turns on it down there, and he knows that he gets by the third baseman and is off to the races. Got to think, too, when you leave the batter's box. And a leadoff double late in the game really spells trouble for Atlanta.
Here's Holiday. Chance to give the Cardinals their first lead tonight. Go ahead run at second. Holiday shoots 1 foul. There's almost a swing right there, Al, where he's trying to go to right. Yeah, or even, it was almost self-defense.
Well, good hitters, we talk all about a weak hitter is terrified of being jammed. A good hitter never fears getting jammed because they trust their hands. And his quick hands, and their hands will get to that spot. And, be able to fend off that ball, whether it's running inside or in this case. And Albert, kept the ball fair. That's another thing he can do better than most is pitches that somebody else would pull, he can keep fair.
Big gap in the left center. 0-1 pitch to Holiday. Shallow right. Conrad makes the catch. And now it's Rasmus. No activity in the Atlanta bullpen. Cardinals with Ryan Franklin getting loose in their bullpen.
And walking.
They'll deal with Molina. For Bobby Cox, that sets up the potential double play. Colby tonight with a couple of hits. He had a single first time up, called out on strikes in the 4th, and then had the homer to lead off the 7th. Rasmus has seen a lot of walks this year. This one of the intentional variety. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cardinals. This situation, though, Al, Molina's a guy that will put the ball in play more times than not. He is 1 for 3 against Saito. One thing you get worried about is that potential double play.
Yeah, I mean, hits the ball on the ground, more than likely it's going to be great strategy. But Tony feeling that I have a guy up there that can make contact, hits well to the opposite field.
Takes ball 1. Molina flied out to left, stole a base, back in the 7th, and scored the tying run. And steal proved to be big for the Cardinals. Molina drives it into deep left center field. It's at the track. It's at the wall. One hops over the wall. Ground rule double for Yadier Molina. The Cardinals have the lead.
A bad break. And it bounces over for the ground rule double. Or Rasmus would have scored easily on top of it.
RBI number 11 for Molina. Let's take a look at Fox Tracks and where this pitch is.
Well, it's set up away, but leaves the ball right down the middle. And you're looking for something to drive. Well, that made it a lot easier. And remember, we talked about how Molina goes the opposite field. Well, lately, he's been hitting that left center field gap area.
Now the infield is drawn in. The Cardinals have grinded to this 4-3 lead, haven't they?
Sure have. And it seemed like a very early lopsided game favoring Tim Hudson. Now has really turned.
Looking ahead for the Braves, they'll have McLeod, the 8th place hitter, as a double and RBI, then the pitcher spot and the top of the lineup. 2 big runs out there at 2nd and 3rd.
Mention also the Braves lost 5 straight. A couple games under 500 coming in, but right now David Freese just relax and have some fun. 2 big runs sitting out there with the infield in.
Freese tonight is struck out, grounded into a double play, and flied out to deep right. One pitch. Freese, ground ball, right side, play at the plate. And out is Rasmus.
Went on contact and had the infield in, and it paid off. Still, you made the Braves execute, and they were up to the task. Conrad throws in here, the left leg out there. Tag is applied by McCann before he touches home plate. Umpire Jerry Meals in perfect position. Make him execute, and the Braves did this case.
Now Brendan Ryan with 2 outs, runners at 1st and 3rd. Brendan is 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. Fastball at 91. And again, it seems like all season long he's been hitting from behind in the count. It's 0-1.
Hitting behind the count, and then he gets 2 strikes. Swinging pitches off the plate, but watch how he takes that pitch. Even there, his balance isn't good where he falls across the plate. Just watching the pitch.
0-2.
That's what you're talking about. 0-2 when he leaves the batter's box or leaves the on-deck circle. But it takes 3 in this game. This would be a big lift to Brendan if he can come up with a hit here.
Call third strike on Brendan Ryan. The crowd reaction to the extra base hit from Molina puts the Cardinals on top as we head to the ninth. It's 4-3.
As we go to the ninth at Busch Stadium, don't forget, coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Jack Clark are waiting in the wings. They'll look at the young guns on display in tonight's game, what Ryan Howard's contract could mean for the Cardinals and Albert Pujols, plus post-game reactions straight from the Cardinal clubhouse. It's all coming up after the game. For now, it's back to the booth and Dan and Al, guys.
Okay, thank you, Jim. And 4-3 Cardinals. Top of the ninth, and how did we get here? Well, let's take a look. The Cardinals' last 3 innings have scored runs, and after it was 3-1, this would make it 3-2 and a home run by Colby Rasmus to lead off the 7th. Brian Anderson with 2 outs, base hit to left. That would score Molina. Anderson would be stranded. 8th inning, Yadier Molina almost knocked it out of the ballpark. Pujols would score. He had to make sure that got down on a ground rule double. And that's given the Cardinals this 4-3 lead. So Reyes went out to warm up, gave Franklin a little bit more time. And Ryan Franklin coming in. 37-year-old Ryan Franklin earned his 6th save yesterday and tied for 3rd in the National League in saves with Matt Capps and Cordero. Of course, last year he was outstanding, 38 saves and a 1.92 ERA. Tony waited for the change, and he gets it here. And now Matt Diaz will be the hitter.
Yeah, Diaz in the last few years been a very good pinch hitter, and then they'll pinch hit Hinske, left-handed batter, for the pitcher's spot. Hinske off to a good start as pinch hitter.
This is slowly hit. It's rolling, rolling. Will it go foul? It doesn't look like it will. That's going to be a fair ball. Nothing that David Freese could do. That's a base hit.
That's one of those things that you come out here and you roll the ball on occasion. And I've seen this happen more times than not here at the new Busch Stadium, that this ball will actually roll back into fair territory. Just like that. Really a do or die play, really no choice for Freese. And
well, let's see now if Bobby Cox wants to bunt in this spot with Eric Hinske.
Nope.
You say no.
It's the bopper. You know, he's 4 for 10. Look at the success against Ryan Franklin. I'm not going to give up an out here. I'm going for the win.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Taken low and away. 2 balls and no strikes. McClellan had a scoreless frame, as did Reyes, although he had a couple of walks, and now it's Ryan Franklin. Good off-speed pitch. It's 76 miles an hour. Take a look at Fox Tracks. Caught the bottom of the zone. Here's a 2-1 pitch from Franklin. The 2-2. Broken bat. Freese over to get it. Out there on the first. Double play.
Now perfect. Ball out there so David Freese could nice run. He's got the play right in front of him. Hits Schumacher. Schumacher takes his time, makes sure he gets the out there. Then he's got that good arm strength that he could take his time and get Hinske at first base.
It's up to Escobar. Strike one.
Franklin, after a lot of concern, spring training, is now looking for his 7th save in 7 opportunities.
Foul ball. Take a look at our player of the game presented by Budweiser. Yadier Molina. The big double. The bottom of the 8th. Oh, 2 on Yanel Escobar. Cardinals looking at win number 12 if Franklin can seal it. 2-2.
Good pitch right there.
Escobar is fly to right, fly to center, walked and struck out.
Make sure if you miss inside off the plate. He gets him with something away.
2-2 pitch. Fly ball down the right field line, slicing it out of play. And we'll do it again. Two pitch. That check swing didn't go. They appeal down to first, full count.
That'll give up a base hit, then a walk. Just make sure that if it's a hit, it's a single. Gotta throw a strike.
Ground ball, Schumacher to his left, knocks it down, and no play at first.
Like I said, you know, you'd rather allow a hit than a walk. And Schumacher couldn't come up with it, but still there's 2 outs, just a man at first base.
Brings in Prado. Singled, scored in the third. Lined into a double play. He's also popped out to first and grounded out to third. Breaking ball and a strike. It's 78 miles an hour.
Good ahead breaking ball. Prado came in batting over 400. Now it's dropped below it.
Here's a ground ball again. Schumacher to his left, settles, throws, got him. Cardinals win it. 4-3 the final tonight. Skip had a range to his left. He makes the play. Franklin gets the save, and the Cardinals hold on for the win.
3 tough plays there off the bat, and finally you get the final out. Nothing left the infield.